running.
Absolutely. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, why not? Hello and welcome to the first inaugural Good Chat between Sam Graiche, co-founder of Good Housing, and myself, Antony Anisse, co-founder of Good Housing.
Mate, that was really good. Can I try that?
Try it.
Because I've always wanted to be a host, a game show host.
You should give it a shot.
Hello and welcome to the Good Chat. That was good, huh?
It's a lot more enthusiastic than what I was able to do.
The only thing is we've definitely got the mic set up, but we don't have the audience yet.
And the camera's off, so we don't know if we're doing a good job. Well, today I think has been an opportunity for us to at least see each other.
Yeah.
We haven't seen each other now for a good couple of months.
Sorry, has someone got a tape measure? I don't think you're 1.5 metres away, mate.
I don't know, my leg. That's about 1.5 metres. I'm fine.
Oh, mate, come on. You're 1.5. You're teasing me now. Why, you're calling me short?
So this is a good opportunity. I think we haven't seen each other for a long time. It's like watching you on a video camera. It's like you've become a TV star with the silver fox look. Now I get to see you in real life. Your hair's grown out.
We need a hairdresser, mate. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah. My wife, she decided that she would try and cut my hair, and I thought, no way. So I think I'd rather let it grow.
Let it grow out. It's just the fluffy sideburns that do my hair.
Yeah, I know.
Well, the one thing that's definitely made things frustrating has been COVID. I mean, particularly just for us as a family and how we love to hang out. So Sam is my uncle. I'm sure everybody has heard me say that 1,000 times. And
so does that mean you're my nephew?
By default.
By corollary.
By default. So neither of us had much of a choice in the matter, but we've made it work.
Yeah. Well, we tried hard on that, didn't we? We still try. I try every day. But yeah, I look at it. You know, what I've missed is being close to, like sort of working in an office environment when you've got someone next to you and you can just look over your shoulder and say, oh, hey, Antony, did you end up sending that email to such and such? You know, it's really hard to do that because now you just have to make a phone call or you set up a Zoom call or whatever.
It's death by Zoom call now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I've noticed, you've even talked to me before about the fact that by the end of the day, you've been exhausted by Zoom.
I'm zoomed out. Actually, my wife looks at me, she goes, man, your eyes are square. I was like, I'm spending a lot of time on that Zoom call.
It does, because then, I can't help it. By the end of the day, you're exhausted. So there's no Zoom call etiquette, and they might need to be introduced at some point in time.
Yeah.
You just need to be able to at least have a gap of half an hour between every Zoom call.
You know what? For the first maybe day or two, I think it was pretty good. Yeah. And now it's like really, it's laborious, isn't it?
Yeah, it gets to you. Actually, someone was saying before, it takes out more energy than like in a conversation, we're able to spend some time where we you have downtime, you're not having to fully commit. But in a video call, you're fully committed.
Yeah.
Well, there's one.
Well, I mean, COVID, for example, right? Yeah. It's created a lot of challenges for what we do, right? I know from a construction perspective and a delivery of the beautiful homes that we're trying to do, that COVID is really, it's created a lot of challenges on site. In fact, it was just the other week that we had to shut the site down because we had someone who tested positive. Yeah. And it was good because the guys really are quite vigilant on site. In fact, we normally have a lot of people on site that don't speak English very well. Yeah. Right? It's just by nature of the industry, I guess. And we found that those guys were actually really vigilant about making sure everybody was signing in and doing their checks and balances, which I thought that was pretty good because it really does, it crosses that stereotypical lines of, it's just the English-speaking people are doing it. Everybody. It's a real international sort of thing that everybody is...
Well, it's affecting livelihoods now. Yeah. It's affecting livelihoods. Their ability to get back to work and out of their area so they can earn money and not be dependent on a grant or a subsidy. Yeah. But importantly for us is the delay. We've got tenants that are waiting in hospital, tenants that are either in an aged care or nursing home, or tenants that are in an old group home. And we need to be able to keep the speed of which we're moving. And we tried to actually speak with various stakeholders to see whether or not, being an essential service when we're operational, whether or not we could be an essential service in construction, because we are delivering and building something towards being an essential service, of which then isn't affected by a lockdown. We are assisting someone, an individual with a disability who desperately needs to move into better quality accommodation.
Well, yeah, I guess with COVID, there's a lot more stress on the health system and in particular the hospitals, right?
Yeah.
So those that are in rehab, rehabilitation, they're ready to move out. They've been ready to move out of hospitals for 6, 12 months.
Sometimes 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the ones that it's urgent. Let's get them out so that they can free up a bed for other patients.
Potential urgent or emergency situations for people with COVID, which might inevitably become there will be a lot more pressure on the hospital system once everyone's vaccinated, because it doesn't prevent people from going to hospital. So all the more reason to accelerate the way that we continue to deliver what we're building, because we know that it's needed.
Hey, what do you think of how? Well, we always want to interact with our tenants, right? Well, we try our best to give them their own sense of privacy and space, but we also want to get some feedback, right, as to how well we're doing with trying to provide the best possible accommodation for them. But what do you think of COVID and then the challenges as a result of that, now that we can't visit them,
it affected a move-in that we had more recently. We had a tenant move in one of our places.
Paul,
in Appletree. We like the opportunity to be able to properly meet them at the door and welcome them into a home that we've built. We've taken so long in designing and creating these homes with them in mind, and speaking to them along their journey. It's a great feeling when they get to actually move in. So it did affect, I think, the quality of that move-in to the extent that we'd like to enhance the tenant experience and that feeling.
Well, I don't know about you, but the best thing, what I get most out of this whole thing is looking at their expression when they first walk in.
Yeah, Kevin's a prime example of that.
And we've missed that.
Yeah.
We've missed that. And that actually drives me. And to a certain extent, it drives a lot of the guys on site, knowing that, because they've seen some of the expressions of people just having a look at some of the sites close by. And believe it or not, it drives them.
Makes a big difference.
It drives our plumbers, our electricians, maybe not the bricklayers, but, that's all right.
Yeah. We definitely enjoy that part, and I've been looking forward to being able to introduce, we've talked about this internally, the good family dinners, so that we're able to have a time, however often, that we can sit with our tenants in the home and enjoy what it is that we've built and move them into within the common areas in the kitchen and the lounge area, and sit down and have a good family dinner. That will come. It's inevitable. The time which we can look forward to post-COVID I think it's going to be a glorious couple of a decade or even a couple of years, of which human nature, we've been held back for so long. Being held back for so long, when we're able to go back and do what it is that we're designed and innately designed to do, I think there'll be some special times. We'll really truly appreciate the things that we never probably appreciated, like this, like you being my uncle and beating me up for however many years, and now being able to avoid you for how long now meant that I didn't. Mate, it didn't bring back bad memories, but I actually miss you.
Mate, I can't believe I'm 1.4 meters away from you.
At least.
No, you're right. I think, look, we are social creatures, right? We are very much social creatures, and COVID's absolutely, outside the family, it's totally destroyed that social cohesion of communities. But I must say, it's really helped the inner family. I know spending time with my kids. I love spending time with my kids, but 24/7, it just gets a bit.
Well, there's no internet left.
Well, especially when the coverage is a bit poor.
They drain the data.
But look, it's first world problems, I guess.
Yeah. But even. You know what, it's been interesting, just speaking of our own family, which is obviously a big reason as to why we started the business, because of my cousins, your nephews, that have got, whether it's autism, Down syndrome or cerebral palsy, in being able to assist them with the next part of life as my aunties start to age, your sisters start to age. So the home environment for people like Lawrence and Andre at home, it's more intense, everyone's at home more often. I imagine in a lot of instances the requirement for options has probably become more prevalent. You know? I know that my grandfather, my Jiddo, who lives at home with Andre Lawrence, he's been almost like a calming equilibrium.
Absolutely.
Within the home. Quite interestingly, so an aging and much older grandfather has played an important part in his later years in being able to provide that equilibrium.
And he loves it. Yeah. I've had good chats with him. He actually, he's almost like a rock for them, and they're a rock for him, because he's often told me that he prefers to live on his own, and we all would like to live on our own. If we had that choice, right, we'd want to live on our own. But sometimes you just want to, you want your own space, but you also want to be able to sort of step out your front door or step out your and then be able to interact with other people.
And I know Andre, for example, we've talked to him before about it, and he just wants to convert, for example, the garage, so he's got his own independent space. His own independent.
But still be connected. Still be connected with the family.
And that's a really interesting point, because we recently we're a little bit baffled, but also somewhat enthused by the market statement that was released by the NDIS as it relates to single occupancy villas. We spent so much time in the early part of the business, particularly when we first started on Oak Tree. We were young and generally unaware as to the way the market was working, and what the needs and the demands were of tenants. We knew in our heart of hearts what we were trying to do. So we knew we had a block of land. We knew we were going to just do whatever it took to build something, so we can prove what we were talking about was true. And I think we've been able to deliver that.
It's funny because we just got sick of talking about it, right?
So we just started.
Said, bugger it, let's just build.
So then we worked with Summer Foundation, who were brilliant.
They were good.
And we have a huge amount of respect for Summer Foundation and housing as to what they've done in the industry in being able to pioneer and create the policy space and work with government to get it where it is. But we went out to an open market process, full choice and control.
Absolutely.
And allowing for every tenant, anyone in the market, to determine and decide what kind of dwelling they wanted to live in, who they wanted to live with, if they wanted to share, what type of support provider they wanted to provide supports to them. And we learnt a huge amount from an honest and open process.
The feedback that we were getting was just like, I didn't quite get how much feedback we were getting, that people just really wanted to live on their own. You know,
the one bedroom villa was hot property. So
I guess if you're living in a group home with between 5 and 6 people, you know, and you're given a choice, you probably go, you know what, I'm out of here. I don't want anyone next to me, because you're just so used to having people around you. You just don't want them, right? So it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. But I think the fact that later on, when you are living in your own space, you realise, hold on, this is really quiet. I wouldn't mind some interaction.
And that's what we've allowed for in as we've evolved. We've allowed one bedroom villa. We knew that worked really well. There was a 2-bedroom house where we've got some tenants that want to live with someone else, but we found that the greater overwhelming majority of tenants that made inquiries to live with us wanted to live independently with the opportunity to interact with others, to be able to have a shared common area or a shared outdoor area. So if they have birthday parties or celebrations or family over, they've got that opportunity to interact, almost like co-living, which we feel like is a core principle behind what we try to do in thinking about what we're doing. Co-living, which gives you something that the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So that by all of the tenants being together, having their own independent spaces, they're living a much greater quality of life, having a much greater quality of life by comparison to what it would be if they were in alternative accommodation. And we really work hard at trying to develop that, and being integrated in the way that we are, vertically integrated. We're blessed to have some skill sets of which the fusion of the two give us something to work with, where we find the land based on what we think the needs will be of a tenant. We build it, we design it and build it. That's a lot to do with your core capabilities and extraordinary, really, don't overstate it, the skill and experience.
Well, it's a balance, right? It's a real balance.
And then once we get into the next part, it's the operation. So there's making sure that we got that smooth transition for the tenant through their SDA journey, whether it's getting their approval and their plan. And making
it's tough, isn't it? It's really tough. That is so challenging. You know what? When we first got into this, I didn't think that was going to be the hardest part.
That is without a doubt the hardest part. There's no shortage of need. There's no shortage of impact investment capital available.
I honestly thought we were going to struggle with trying to find trying to find locations that are going to work, going through the planning process, trying to make the design right. I thought that was going to be our biggest challenge. But, to your credit and the credit of the organisation, I think we've really ironed that out to a good process so that we can deliver accommodation where the demand is, right? But this
DY case in point.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Beaches, absolutely. But the transition stuff is tough, right?
Which is the approval part from the NDIS.
And the COVID's somewhat complicated it, you think?
For the approval piece?
For the transition stuff.
The transition, it makes it complicated because it has delayed the way that... It's the interaction part that we struggle with.
Yeah.
In not being able to have that point of contact with the tenant in person from time to time. That really helps. And then particularly when they come to move in. But really what's been delayed has been the timeframes associated with delivering the project. So, that's added another month, for example, in what we're doing in DY, which is unavoidable. And I know that you're doing everything that you can to accelerate that because we've got... For the 5 villas that we're building in DY, we've already got 6, and we're oversubscribed. So that there's a lot of tenants that are super keen to move in. But again, coming back to this point of the independent living units, is that we're seeing, yes, like you said, that's the challenge. We're giving them full choice and control, and we feel like being the responsible stewards of SDA and accommodation, we wanted to do this to produce the greatest level of impact for our tenants, being sometimes a bit hamstrung by the way of which the approvals are coming through, when this is what we believe the choice and control that they've chosen to do and where they want to live. That's the challenge.
Well, what do you think of that SDA market? When they talked about, we believe that there should be more of a demand for shared, and especially when they talk
choice
about
and control.
apartments.
It's just choice and control.
No, but remember how
they said that
they're trying to steer us away
from apartments. I understand from a sustainability perspective.
Yeah, I get that.
We need this policy to survive for the time frames that it was forever, for as long as we can, in the foreseeable future.
As a community at large, right?
To provide this type of accommodation and continue to provide it. The NDIS needs to sustainably fund it.
It's a great system. We don't want to break it, right?
That's exactly right. But without compromising great outcomes for the tenants, where they truly innately desire to be able to live on their own. And that might morph and change over time. There may be tenants who want to live independently to begin with, like Kevin, and then he might choose that he might want to, change and share. But for now, having lived in a hospital for 2 years, there's nothing he wanted more than just to live on his own.
That's it.
Have his own space, have his own kitchen, his own sanctuary, his own living room, his own bedroom, his own ensuite, and his own private open space. His little sanctuary, as he kept saying. So that we can see the look on his face, like the colour. He doesn't need to be spending time in the sun or adjust his camera like I need to look like I've been in the sun. He genuinely has the colour of life coming through his face. So it's just true impact, and that's why. To your point that the question you raise is, how do I feel about the statement? It just lacks clarity on the independent living component as it relates to villas. We get it. The apartments is not a sustainable model for independent living moving forward, but low-scale villas could quite possibly be a great response, cost less for the NDIS, a great response for people who want to live independently. And we know, hand on heart, without making any assumptions, that this is truly when we hear it from the market, what they're looking for, the tenants, what they're looking for, the support providers when they can speak on behalf of what would produce a greater level of amenity for the tenants, and also support coordinators and the allied health providers, the OTs. So we'll continue to forge ahead and provide a mixture. I think that's what we've decided to do. We recognise that there is a mix that's needed, and we try to balance that and assess that on the need or the profile of tenants in the areas that we're going into, and we're finding that we'll see how that goes based on some of the projects that we've got coming up. So we're and now excitingly, it's about where we go to next. We've been, where we started, and where we are now is a blessing, and we probably never imagined that things would progress as quickly as they have.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, look, we're 8 properties now, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, it's a total of close to about 50 dwellings.
Yeah.
50 dwellings.
Which I think is, like, we're getting close to
it's our humbling.
goal, right?
I mean, people might say that's not much, but for us, that's huge. That's beyond what we...
But remember we talked about that goal, right?
It's really... it's a special moment. Even being able to sit here and talk about it is a special moment.
Yeah.
You roll the dice on these things, you never know if it's going to come off.
It was 50 homes in 3 years, right?
Yeah, so then 50 homes was 200 residents. So if we want to calculate it based on dwellings, that was
dwellings.
roughly about 4. Yeah, but things have morphed and changed as to what comes out of what.
But the 3 years hasn't started yet, right?
Whenever you want. We just know that it's keeping us honest in any event.
Well, I think if the NDIS came to the party a bit better with the transition, we'd probably get there a lot quicker, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Look, I think they just need to continue to provide that clarity. Clarity is key. That certainty is key. We will forge ahead in that there is an abundance of impact investment available to continue to roll these out. But our aspiration, and I know this is shared by some of the other better SCA providers, our aspiration is to cover the country. We would love to be able to continue to refine the model with this ongoing commitment to continuous improvement, because we can do that out of being integrated and covering all those steps throughout the SDA journey from start to finish and delivery and completion and then ongoing operation. We really, in our heart of hearts, want to see how far we can go.
Well, this is the thing, right? Disabilities is not, it doesn't the location is not discriminated. People with disabilities everywhere, right across Australia. So whilst we're focusing on Sydney because we think there's a big demand, and the reason I say we think is because it's really hard to get SDA demand data, but we know that there is strong demand, but there is demand in other areas, like for example in Albury, right?
But also metropolitan areas that are largely underserved, and that's a big part of what we said to each other. We said we don't want to just go out to the regions. We actually really want to go into the areas where it counts, and that includes the northern beaches. So we admittingly have had to be quite clever in how we approach a site, how we design it, how we get it approved, how we build it economically and efficiently to then produce it something where it needs to be. But we really need, at some point in time, in order to make this happen faster and more wider, is we need the NDIS to work with us on 20, 30% or 40% increase in land values in some areas that are making it increasingly difficult. And maybe you can also talk and touch on the cost of construction, the way that's changed.
Look,
during COVID. That's probably been the biggest challenge of COVID.
That has been a challenge because apart from the lack of availability of resources because of deliveries and some of those manufacturing plants are scaled down, but also actual human resources, because there's a lot of people in the LGAs that are restricted LGAs that can't leave, and those that choose to be vaccinated and those that choose not to be vaccinated. Like we've got one contractor, he just doesn't want to be vaccinated, and that's fine.
He's right.
It's his choice, and good luck to him. But we're left without contractors. So as a result,
or the limited pool of contractors.
It is a big challenge. It is. But just going back to DY, you know what? We were pretty lucky with finding that property.
I was just a friend of a friend owned a block, and I'm very grateful to that friend. It's
amazing how it all just pans out.
And he owned a block. It was coming up to the first lockdown, and he was looking to sell, so he worked with us to just do a quick, fast deal at a reasonable price.
Because we're struggling to find another one.
But we will. And it's about maybe fleshing this out a bit more, like we talked about the other day, and thinking about maybe a variety of uses that could play into more of a master plan scenario. But how long do you think before you can get back into full swing? Because that's what's most important now for DY.
I'm so keen.
Are you buoyed by the announcements of late with respect to October Freedom Day in New South Wales?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's brilliant. For our industry, it's fantastic because, to be fair, just visiting sites. I like to visit sites more often because even though I don't need to visit site, I often visit the sites because I go through and they call me they call me the defect king. So I'm always there saying, hey, why is that like that?
That's what's invaluable.
Fix that. And so they often don't like me turning up on site, but I like going to site because I think it's important that we pick up certain things like defects right early on.
So, all in all, though, getting back out and completing DY is like all things hypercritical stage red for what we're doing in July.
Absolutely.
We need to get that done, and then kicking off with all the new projects. But excitingly, which I'm pumped about, is getting back into an office that we're fitting out and getting ready to move into very soon. So Good Housing will have its own proper office with the team being able to all congregate, share ideas. And
I'm looking forward to that football.
That's right. We'll get that going. But I'm looking forward to just getting back in the office and giving you a good belting. That's always fun. We should have a wrestling match.
Well, at least I won't feel jealous on the other side of the camera watching you with a great tan. At least
you know it's not real.
It's more realistic.
Well, Uncle, I love just seeing you today.
So it's really good to see you, mate. It's amazing, because we have these conversations over Zoom, right? But there's no substitute to have a face-to-face.
Absolutely.
You just get these nuances in body language and, and what have you. It's just...
it's just itch to want to slap someone and give them a bit of a punch in the face.
Well, okay. we've got to try and keep this civil, right?
They can edit it.
Well, they're going to edit this. I hope they don't. All right. You better not edit.
Well, until the next good chat, I think this has been great, and this is our first little crack at having a go at it, and we may have failed miserably when we get feedback from them after, but at least we tried. Like
some angry faces
at least like Oak Tree, we tried and we learned, we get better, so it's fine.
I think there's a few angry faces. I can see. I can see those eyebrows dipping there.
I've got your back if you got mine. So, Sam, that wraps up the first inaugural Good Chat. I've certainly really enjoyed it. But look, just for our audience, it's not always going to be just us. Today was just the opportunity to introduce it, get it going, share some of our thoughts. But moving forward, we look forward to inviting. Hopefully today was a nice taster and appealing enough, doesn't turn anyone off coming to join us. But we'll have other people join us as guests.
Yeah, because I'm getting bored just talking to you.
Oh, likewise. Sure. We'll find other things to talk about. But moving forward, I look forward to that. And there'll be a lot more of these coming up. And we hope everybody's enjoyed this almost as much as we've had fun making
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. Thanks very much, Antony.
Thanks, Uncle.
Cheers, guys.